1 in 5 people have dyslexia. This is about 15 to 20% of the population. It's such a common learning disability, but sadly it doesn't have much awareness. In a definition of dyslexia by G. Reed Lyon in 2003, they defined dyslexia as a specific learning disability that is neurobiological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with accurate and/or fluent word recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. You'd hope that the public education would be more accommodating to such a common learning disability, but sadly it's left up to the families. My sister has dyslexia. That's her right there. My mom worked tirelessly as she grew up to support my sister and give her the educational support that she needs. And because of my mom's efforts and learning from my sister, I was able to identify dyslexic tendencies in a 5th grade boy that I tutored in my junior year of high school. But it shouldn't be left up to the families. Educators need to be informed on how to treat learning disabilities and be able to teach all students, and there are easy ways to incorporate teaching for dyslexia. My sister was diagnosed in 3rd grade, but when we looked back, the signs were all there. For this speech, I interviewed my mom to hear her experience as a parent with a dyslexic child. She said, "In kindergarten, we saw some clues. She had trouble learning how to read. She knew her letters and individual sounds, but she couldn't sound things out. Her trouble with spelling and multiplication tables were also signs of her dyslexia. It stood out to me when my parents explained it when I was younger. They said that when my sister was reading aloud to them at night, she would mix up words like house and home. She would say they were sitting in the house when it said they were sitting at home. This proved that her brain could comprehend the ideas of the words, but not the specific words themselves. Despite her struggles with reading and math, she got good grades. Because of this, the school refused testing 3 times, stating that since she was getting good grades, she didn't need to be tested. The real reason that they didn't want to say was the cost of testing. Testing can cost anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000. This holds so many children back from getting the support that they need. When diagnosed, you can get a 504 plan, which includes accommodations such as a spell checker, a calculator, or you can get an IEP depending on the degree of your learning disability. An IEP is an individualized education plan. There are many struggles that affect students who don't get the necessary accommodations that they need. The Prevention, Diagnosis, and Treatment of Dyslexia, written in Germany in 2010, explained, however, the prejudice that children with dyslexia are unintelligent and not suitable for grammar school education is very widespread. When students don't get the support they need, it can cause depression and anxiety in younger children and throughout their lives because they feel like a failure. But there is no link between unintelligence and dyslexia. When people ask me about this, I always say, sure, my sister can't tell her right from left, but she's going to UCLA, so if that doesn't prove anything, I don't know what does. This idea probably comes from the fact that dyslexia tests are similar to IQ tests. But in the article Intelligence and Dyslexia, written in 1999, argues for a change in the examination. They state, in the case of dyslexia, we should suggest that phonological skills and word decoding skills should be the focus of the examination. My sister is known as twice exceptional. This means she has a learning disability, but her IQ is in the gifted range. And this is very common for people with learning disabilities, especially dyslexia. There's also a statistic that states 25 to 30% of CEOs have dyslexia. My sister can visualize, it gives her, I call them special powers, because she can visualize 3D objects in her head better than anyone that I know. She has amazing spatial intelligence, more than I could ever have. So how should we teach kids with dyslexia? There's a great curriculum thanks to a man named Orton Gillingham, who humbly named the curriculum after himself. In the article, Orton Gillingham, Who, What, and How, it describes the Orton Gillingham, or OG, approach as a language-based, multisensory, flexible, cognitive, systematic, explicit, and cumulative. In short, this means having a multisensory effect that triggers multiple parts in the brain when learning to read for it to stick better. This includes simple things like tracing words with your finger, moving words around. That way it helps people learn in different ways. I interviewed my sister for this speech as well and asked her specifically what would have helped her to succeed in school. She explained to me that teachers would tell her she was wrong because she couldn't read the exact words on the page, but she was still understanding what the page was saying. She explained it to me. It was a difference between the cat sits on the mat and the cat is sitting on the mat. When the book would say the cat sits on the mat, she would read out loud, the cat is sitting on the mat. It has the same exact meaning, but teachers would tell her she was wrong. The two main things that she said would have helped her was to allow technologies such as a calculator, spell checker, or this very cool thing called Dyslexie Font, which she swears by. It has different letters and different outlines, so the words don't jumble around as much, and people with dyslexia are able to trace it better. So things like Kindle have incorporated this into their reading programs, and you can just click Dyslexie Font, and it works wonders. Another thing is to change the mindset of how we determine aptitude of students. The aptitude should not be based on a timed task, such as the times tables that we all had to do in 3rd grade. It should be based on how well we perform the task, not how long it takes to do it. So children are not getting the adequate support they need. It has been put on the families, and families are not the trained professionals who should be dealing with this. It should be the educators. So we need to advocate for educating teachers to be able to teach all kids. If you want to take action, you can go to organizations such as the International Dyslexia Association and click on their Donate Now button. The proceeds go to education training, information, and support. So as my sister likes to say, dyslexics untie.